Hello, I would like to make you aware of the Talking Plants Foundation's Amazon Protocol for Epidemics Among Indigenous People project. I worked on epidemics in the Amazon among very remote tribes through the 80s, 90s, and up to the beginning of the 2000s. And I learned a lot in all those years about fighting epidemics among indigenous people. And as the epidemics broke out with the fires in the Amazon, I came to realize that I wasn't hearing any of these groups, foundations, and conservancies putting environmentalists putting out an actual plan for fighting the epidemic. More what I saw was people who cared kind of throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I know for a fact if you're fighting epidemics, that will never work. So I came up with this program and I've written it out, and now it's been translated into three languages: English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And it's been sent for many organizations for review at this point. I also want to say that with the work with my dear friend Leonidas from Mexico, we have actually began a wonderful part of the program. And what we have done is we're in the process now of shipping seeds and Artemisia nua, the plant that has an 87% success rate with malaria and dengue fever, and also 24 compounds that attack the coronavirus. So this is a real miracle plant. And it truly is a miracle plant, and it deals with schizomaniasis and parasites and many other diseases. It's perfect for this. And we are already underway with it. And what the project is about is not using the bigger system, which I have found when I worked in the Amazon, you dealt with so much red tape and so many buffet dinners and people wanting their own agendas that very little got on the land and did the job. So, out of desperation, I decided to try to make the program advance through the indigenous people. At this time, it was the Yanomami and the Piaroa Venezuela. And what I found was that they have their own Harachi or barefoot or moccasin grapevine. If you introduce it in their way, what happens? One group or village starts to use it and have success. And then when they do, the people near them also do. And we're already having an example of that in the Amazon with the Shipibo people. The Shipibo are a tribe who were steeped in plant knowledge and medicine for their entire history. But in modern times, they've been very westernized. And when they came down with Corona, they started going to modern medicine, pharmaceuticals, which really wasn't working. And they got very expensive, and the Shipibo couldn't afford it. So in that moment, what do the Shipibo do? They go back to their Baichis, their medicine people, and go, gee, what can you come up with? And they came up with a plant called Tamiaco, which grows not in the Amazonas, but at about an altitude of 4,000 feet. And they're finding it's having a tremendous effect against coronavirus. Now, they started out with their own people, and now that the other tribes around them have heard about it, lots of tribes are doing this. And this is the basic concept at work that the people are doing of the Amazon Protocol Project. And what we want to do is get plant matter that really helps in epidemics, the seeds and the plants, to tribal people so they have a means of something they understand. They don't understand many of the more remote people injections. Like the Yanomami, you come out of a helicopter with a syringe to give them a vaccine, and they're running for the hills. It was like the Keystone Cops. But when we came up with Artemisia, that was a bad tasting tea, a bitter tea, that made total sense to these people, and they were guzzling it down like nobody's business, and they got better. We watched them in front of our eyes get better and better and better. And I'm saying this is the key to stopping the problem in the Amazonas. That with all the fires and with Bolsonaro and the new Bolivian fascist government attacking the Amazonian people, we need to come up with something that they can't get in the way of, that the indigenous people themselves can do themselves. And these are the plants and projects. Now, in the Amazon Protocol, we use many things. We use modern medicine, we use forms of iodine, we use ginger and salt, We use many different things, anything we can help to use. The one thing we're really trying not to use, many of the more culturalized indigenous communities are asking for synthetic foods that have a lot of shelf life and all. And we have found these things promote the infection instead of working with it. So we're trying to educate a little bit with that stuff. And the other key for our own survival in this with the program is why we're giving to the indigenous people. Maybe we can keep alive the very last medicine people who really know how to use these plants properly. Because the big illusion is we're going around now and making all these encyclopedias and stealing their knowledge, and we're going to do great figuring out how to use it, but that's all bull. The fact is, you need lifetimes and generations of knowledge and people who hold that knowledge to use these plants correctly, and we're killing them off while we're in the middle of a pandemic. How nuts is that? So please join the Amazon Protocol for Epidemics Among Indigenous People project, where we really feel on the ground proven what happened in the 80s, 90s, and 2000 among the Yanomami and Piaroa of Venezuela, that we really could have a huge impact and help the indigenous people for their own survival so they can literally be the base of what helps us to survive. Ninashkatali. The gods give to those who give to the gods. Totejive,